All right, so now that we've baked our animation onto the control rig, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start to tweak some of the animation using the animation layers. So just to recall, we opened the file and we had the bake onto skeleton. I went ahead and I baked all the current frames. So there's quite a few frames here that are baked. When I do bake to control rig, the skeleton and the IK gets the animation. Right, so it's on the effector and on the FK. The output skeleton, so this output here is not animated, right? The output skeleton still reads from the control rig, right? It's checked on here. So the first thing that we see is that the feet have a reach translation and a reach rotation on 1. So those feet are still being controlled by the IK, but everything else has been turned off, so everything else is following the FK. So easily what we can do, if we want to do some quick tweaks, we can use the IK rig. I currently have an animation layer, which is just the base animation, right, which will carry the animation. To create a quick animation layer, you can go to the control rig and add to an anim layer. You have to make sure that the target is selected here. Okay, so I will just select my 2 wrist effectors, go to my layer editor and click on create a new layer, and I will call this I will call this fix wrist. If we go to the relationship editor, animation layer, we want to make sure that we have the correct attributes that are in the animation layers. Okay, so we see the reach translation and reach rotations have been put into the animation layer. Pull value is not in there, right? So this pull here by default will not be added to the animation layers because by default it's not keyable. So I'll go to the channel control right here. My pull is non-keyable but displayed, and so I'll just move it here onto the keyable. And now when I go back to my animation layer, I will be able to pull the wrist into it. The best way to do fixes is to use the 0 key. So for example, if I love my wrist animation, I'm very happy, but at this particular frame I just want to be higher or lower or wherever, right? So I'll go a few frames before, I'll put a 0 key, and I'll go a few frames later and I'll also press the 0 key, and now I can add the animation in between and press the 0 key. Right, so we see that first of all the animation does not follow the IK. My wrist here, I still have a reach translation of 0. So I want to make sure that I set this to 1 and then press the key. And now if I look at my output rig, it's now following the IK on those frames. So this is a very quick way of starting to tweak some of the mocap data. All the data is still in the base animation, but by just using the IK and the reach, I can start to tweak some of the things. If I want to go ahead and continue and start using the pull value, I will simply do the same thing. I will go back to this particular value, to this particular frame, frame 186, and just by pulling it way above its body, setting a keyframe, and then setting the pull to 1, and I'll just key that there. So just by using the pull value and just setting keyframe at 0, making sure they're in the animation layers when you start to key, you can really quickly get to do a lot of tweaks very easily. That's a bit of an extreme, so I'll just lower it and rekey this. And so it's very quickly, we'll just do some of the tweaking. So this is the easiest way to start tweaking some of the mocap data that we have. We're going to go ahead and look at other ways to deal with all the data that we've brought in from the retargeting.